Rain slammed against the windshield as Tunde's car skidded to a stop in front of his penthouse. The driver hadn't even fully parked when Tunde pushed the door open and stepped out into the storm, ignoring the umbrella his assistant rushed toward him with. Water soaked his suit instantly, but he didn't care. His jaw was tight, eyes burning with something between anger and disbelief. Inside the lobby, the security men straightened immediately as he passed, but he didn't acknowledge anyone. He moved fast, like something was chasing him. "Sir," his assistant called after him, struggling to keep up. She refused again." Tunde stopped so suddenly, the assistant nearly bumped into him. "Refused what?" he asked sharply. The assistant swallowed. "The money transfer, the house, everything you sent." For a moment, only the rain outside spoke. Tunde let out a slow breath, then walked into the elevator without another word. His reflection in the polished steel doors stared back at him, soaked hair, expensive suit clinging to his body, eyes hollowing with irritation. On his wrist was an old, faded leather watch, cheap, scratched, out of place among luxury. The elevator chimed, penthouse floor. When the doors opened, the silence of wealth hit him. Too quiet, too empty. He walked into the living room and stopped. On the glass table sat three things: a divorce paper, an old photograph, and a cheap plastic wristwatch. His breath caught. The photograph showed him and Adaeze, years ago, back when life was loud, messy, and poor. She was laughing in it, holding his arm tightly like he was the only thing keeping her alive. He wasn't wearing suits then, just faded shirts and hope. Tunde picked up the watch slowly. His fingers trembled, and then her voice echoed in his memory. "If you ever lose me, don't look for me with money, look for me with truth." A sharp knock of thunder shook the glass windows. Tunde sat down heavily, staring at the watch like it could explain everything. "Tell me," he whispered to no one, "how did we get here?" And as the city lights flickered beneath him, the story of how he broke the woman who gave him everything began to unfold. Years earlier, the rain had been softer, not like this violent Lagos storm, but gentle enough to walk through without rushing. Tunde had been nobody, just another frustrated graduate, sitting outside a small kiosk, watching people pass him like he didn't exist. His shirt was wrinkled. His phone had cracked weeks ago. His dreams felt heavier than his body. Adaeze had found him there. "You're going to sit there all day pretending life is over?" she asked, standing with 2 takeaway bags. He didn't look at her immediately. "It already is." She dropped one bag in front of him. "Eat first, then complain properly." He frowned. "I didn't ask for food." "But you need it," she replied simply. That was the first time she saved him. Not with money, not with miracles, with presence. She sat beside him like they had known each other forever. "I believe you'll become something," she said. Tunde scoffed. "Why?" "Because you're angry," she smiled faintly. "And angry people don't stay small forever." That was the beginning. They had nothing. A single-room apartment with flickering light, a mattress that sank in the middle, days where they shared food like a ritual of survival. Adaeze worked in a small roadside restaurant. Long hours, burning heat, exhaustion that followed her home like a shadow. Tunde failed job after job. Each rejection made him quieter, until one night he sat on the floor and said, "Maybe I'm not meant for anything." Adaeze didn't hesitate. She knelt beside him. "Then I'll carry the belief until you can hold it again." He looked at her for a long time. "You're wasting your life on me." She shook her head. "I'm investing it." That was the second time she saved him. When rent was due and Tunde had no money, Adaeze sold her mother's last piece of gold jewelry. He found out when he saw her without it. "You sold it?" he asked, voice shaking. "It's just metal," she said. "That was your mother's memory." She smiled softly. "And now it's your future." That night, Tunde cried for the first time in years. and Adaeze held him like he wasn't a burden, but a promise. Months later, something changed. A small business idea worked, then another, then a connection, then momentum, and suddenly, the same man who couldn't afford food was signing contracts. The first time Tunde walked into a proper office, Adaeze wasn't with him. She was working her shift. He called her immediately. "It worked," he said breathlessly. Her voice on the other end cracked with joy. "I knew it would." But that was also the moment distance began. Success doesn't knock. It rearranges everything quietly. Soon, meetings replaced meals together. Calls became shorter. Her messages started getting delayed replies, and Tunde started noticing something he never noticed before: how people looked at Adaeze, her accent, her clothes, her simplicity. One evening, after a business dinner, Adaeze stood awkwardly beside him, while wealthy guests spoke about investments and luxury cars. She tried to contribute. "I think your idea about small-scale partnerships could work if—" A man interrupted with a laugh. Not cruel, but dismissive. "That's interesting. Very local perspective." A few people chuckled. Adaeze smiled politely, but her fingers tightened around her purse. Tunde didn't speak. Not then, not even when they got into the car. Only when they were alone did he sigh. "Next time, don't talk unless spoken to." She blinked slowly. "What?" "You don't understand that world," he added. "Just let me handle it." Silence filled the car. Something shifted between them. Not breaking yet, but bending. And bends don't stay invisible forever. Before continuing, the story you're watching right now is built on emotional truth, betrayal, and regret. If you're feeling it already, subscribe so you don't miss the next story that will hit even harder. Now, let's continue, because success was not done changing him yet. The turning point came with Vanessa. She walked into Tunde's life like a headline. Perfect hair, perfect laugh, perfect access. At a networking event, she touched his arm lightly and said, "You don't look like someone who came from nothing." Tunde smiled. "What do I look like?" "Someone who belongs here." It was the first time someone said that to him without hesitation, and Adaeze started becoming an afterthought. At home, she noticed it first in silence. He stopped asking about her day, stopped eating dinner with her, stopped noticing when she dressed up. One night, she found lipstick on his shirt, not hers. Her hands shook as she held it. When he came home late, she didn't shout. She just held the shirt. "Explain this," she said quietly. Tunde didn't even look guilty, just tired. "It's nothing." She stared at him. "Nothing leaves lipstick on your collar." He rubbed his forehead. "Adaeze, I'm building something important. You're focusing on the wrong things." She laughed once, not because it was funny, because it hurt. "So I'm the wrong thing now?" He didn't answer fast enough. That silence was louder than confession. Days later, Vanessa appeared in public with him. Photos leaked. Headlines spread. Adaeze saw them on her phone, while sitting alone in their home, the home she helped build. Her hands went cold. When Tunde walked in, she didn't scream. She just asked, "Is she the reason you don't come home anymore?" He exhaled. "It's complicated." "I don't need complicated," she said. "I need truth." Tunde's face tightened. "Truth is, I can't keep pretending I'm still that broke guy with no future." She stepped back slowly. "That broke guy had me. And I didn't ask you to sacrifice everything," he snapped. That was the first real crack. Adaeze stared at him, like she was seeing a stranger wearing his face. "So everything I did was my mistake?" Tunde hesitated. That hesitation destroyed her more than anger would have. "I'm saying I need a different life now," he said finally. Adaeze nodded slowly, like she was accepting something she didn't yet have words for. The breakup didn't come with drama. It came with paperwork. Divorce papers placed on a table. No shouting, no begging, just a pen. Tunde said, "This is better for both of us." Adaeze looked at the paper for a long time. Then she signed. No tears, no scene, only silence. Before she left, she placed something on the table, the old wristwatch he wore when they had nothing. I bought you this, when I still believed we were forever, she said softly. Keep it. You might need it when you forget who you were. Then she walked out. And Tunde didn't stop her. That was the day he broke her. But he didn't know it yet. Because consequences don't arrive loudly. They arrive slowly, like rot under luxury. First, investors started pulling out. Then contracts collapsed. Then Vanessa stopped answering calls when rumors spread. Then friends became unavailable. Then respect disappeared. And suddenly, the empire he built started shaking. Tunde sat in meetings, trying to sound confident, but people saw through him now. One evening, Kelvin, his old friend, confronted him. You lost her, Kelvin said bluntly. Tunde frowned. We both moved on. Kelvin shook his head. No, you upgraded. She disappeared. She wasn't part of my world anymore. Kelvin leaned forward. She built your world. That sentence stayed. Days turned into emptiness. Tunde began drinking alone in the penthouse, scrolling through old photos, watching videos of Adaeze laughing when they had nothing. One night, he whispered into the empty room, I didn't mean for it to end like this, but meaning doesn't undo damage. Years passed like that, slow punishment, until rain brought him back to the present. Tunde stood in his penthouse now, staring at the divorce papers again. The watch on his wrist felt heavier than gold. A notification came on his phone. A charity gala. He almost ignored it. Then he saw her name, Adaeze. His breath stopped. He didn't know why his hands moved so fast, but they did. That night, he arrived early. The hall was bright, loud, full of people who now respected him again. Until she walked in. Adaeze, not the girl from before. A woman now, composed, successful, calm, and beside her, a man who held her hand like she was peace, not memory. Tunde froze. Their eyes met. No anger, no hate, just distance. Adaeze gave a small, polite nod, like he was a stranger she once knew in another life. Then she turned away and walked past him. Tunde stood there, while the room continued moving around him like he didn't exist. For the first time, he understood something clearly. He didn't lose her in the moment he cheated. He lost her in every small moment he chose pride over love. Later that night, rain returned again. He sat alone with the old watch in his hand. His voice broke into the silence. I had everything, and I didn't even know what everything was. Outside, Lagos kept moving. Inside, Tunde finally understood the weight of the words he once ignored. She gave him everything, and he broke her. If this story touched you, don't scroll away quietly. Like this video, subscribe for more emotional stories, and drop a comment telling me what you would have done if you were Adaeze.